The red light of dawn broke over Singapore's quantum shipyards, casting long shadows across the experimental vessel that had changed humanity's destiny. Commander Elena Reyes stood on the observation deck, watching technicians swarm across the Pathfinder's hull like industrious ants. Just 3 months ago, this ship had broken the light barrier, catapulting humanity into a new age. The celebration had barely ended when the aliens arrived. "They're here," announced Admiral Chen, his weathered face betraying no emotion as he joined Elena at the window. 7 ships just dropped out of FTL at the edge of lunar orbit. Elena's fingers tightened on the railing. "That's twice as many as yesterday." Not exactly a friendly gesture. "The Security Council is assembling now. As head of the Pathfinder mission, you're expected to attend." An hour later, Elena sat with Earth's most powerful leaders in the United Nations crisis chamber beneath Geneva. The room had been built for nuclear standoffs, not first contact scenarios. President Okafor of the African Union paced nervously, while Ambassador Lin of the Pacific Alliance reviewed data on her tablet. "What do we know about them?" Elena asked. "Almost nothing," replied Dr. Imran Shah, Earth's leading xenobiologist. 7 distinct species working together. Their technology is centuries beyond ours, and they arrived exactly 90 days after our FTL test. Too precise to be coincidence. The chamber doors slid open. Everyone stood as Secretary General Alvarez entered, followed by 5 beings that defied human imagination. The leader's skin rippled with bioluminescent patterns, 4 arms folded ceremoniously across its chest. Beside it stood a being composed of what appeared to be living crystal, light refracting through its translucent body. The third alien floated 2 feet off the ground, its gaseous form contained within a sophisticated energy field. The fourth resembled an enormous feathered serpent, while the 5th was so alien that Elena's mind struggled to process its non-Euclidean geometry. "I am High Counselor Vex Trull of the Galactic Consortium," the lead alien announced in perfect English. "We represent the unified civilizations of the Orion Arm." "Welcome to Earth," Secretary General Alvarez replied. "We are honored by your presence and eager to join the galactic community." The crystalline being emitted a sound like breaking glass. Laughter, Elena realized with a chill. "You misunderstand our purpose," said Vextral. "We are not here to welcome you. We are here to contain you." A stunned silence fell over the room. "Contain us?" President Okafor asked. "For what crime?" "Crime implies rules you've broken," the floating gaseous entity replied, its voice modulated through technology. "But you cannot break rules you do not know. This is preventative, not punitive." Vextral gestured, and a holographic display appeared in the center of the room. The Milky Way galaxy, with Earth's position highlighted. For 50,000 years, the consortium has maintained peace among spacefaring civilizations. We monitor pre-FTL species and evaluate their potential to join our community. Your species has failed this evaluation. Admiral Chen stood, indignation evident in his posture. "On what grounds?" "Your psychological profile as a species," Vextral explained. "Humans possess an unusual combination of traits, intense territorial aggression, paired with remarkable ingenuity and adaptability. Your own history demonstrates this repeatedly. You fight catastrophic wars, then build monuments to peace. You create weapons of mass destruction, then establish global treaties to contain them." The serpentine alien uncoiled slightly. "Your species developed nuclear weapons, then walked on your moon within 3 decades. No other known species has accelerated so rapidly from planetary devastation to space exploration. It is concerning." "We've evolved beyond our violent past," Elena argued. "We've had global peace for over 40 years. A single lifetime is nothing," the crystalline being responded. "We observe on evolutionary timescales." Vextral raised a hand. "The consortium's ruling is unanimous. Humanity will be contained within your solar system for a probationary period of 500 years. A quantum barrier is being established as we speak. No human vessel or transmission will penetrate it. Chaos erupted in the chamber. Ambassador Lin demanded legal representation before the consortium. Admiral Chen threatened military response. Dr. Shah attempted to debate evolutionary psychology with the aliens. Vextrol waited for the outburst to subside. Your reaction only confirms our assessment. The decision is final. A small device appeared in one of the aliens' forehands. The barrier is now active. When it expires in 5 centuries, we will return to reassess your species' development. With that, the delegation vanished, transported back to their vessels. Satellite feeds showed the alien ships accelerating away from Earth, leaving humanity alone with its new prison walls. The years following Earth's quarantine were the most unified in human history. Necessity overcame old divisions as humanity confronted its cosmic imprisonment. The former competing powers pooled resources, establishing the Solar Unification Government. Private enterprise and government programs merged in a massive effort to understand the quantum barrier and develop a means to counteract it. 7 years after the containment, Alina Reis, now director of the Barrier Analysis Project, stood in a laboratory orbiting Neptune. Through the viewport, specialized sensors revealed the faint shimmer of the quantum barrier just beyond the heliosphere. "We found something," announced Dr. Kaido Yamashita, her chief scientist. His holographic display showed energy fluctuations along the barrier's outer edge. "There's a pattern to the quantum oscillations, like a heartbeat." Elena studied the data. After years of dead ends, they might finally have a lead. "Can we predict the pattern?" "Already have," Kaido replied, unable to hide his excitement. Every 27.3 Earth days, the barrier experiences a microsecond fluctuation. The effect is strongest here, at these coordinates. Could something pass through during that fluctuation? Theoretically, yes, if it were small enough and shielded properly. Kaido hesitated. "But Elena, even if we could send something through, there's no guarantee it could return." "We don't need guarantees, Kaido. We need possibilities." Within months, Project Breakthrough was initiated. A specialized probe, no larger than a coffee table, was constructed with the most advanced materials humanity could produce. When the day came, Alina watched from the control room as the probe approached the predicted weak spot in the barrier. "Fluctuation in 10 seconds, Kaido announced, his voice tense. The room held its collective breath. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the sensors lit up. "It's through," shouted one of the technicians. "We have telemetry." Elena felt tears forming in her eyes. 7 years of work had led to this moment. Humanity's first glimpse beyond its cosmic cage. The probe's initial data was bewildering. The laws of physics themselves seemed different beyond the barrier. Radiation levels that should have been lethal were present, yet the probe's systems functioned better, not worse. Energy readings defied conventional understanding. "It doesn't make sense," Kaido muttered, reviewing the data. "It's as if our understanding of quantum mechanics is incomplete." Elena's mind raced with possibilities. Or the consortium manipulated the laws of physics in this region to make it uninhabitable by their standards. 3 hours later, during the probe's programmed return window, they successfully retrieved it through another barrier fluctuation. The data it contained would change everything. 2 years after the breakthrough, the first crewed mission beyond the barrier launched in secret. The Defiance, a ship built specifically for the purpose, carried Elena, Kaido, and 3 specialists chosen for their unique expertise in xenobiology, quantum physics, and interstellar navigation. "Fluctuation in 30 seconds, Elena announced from the captain's chair. The Defiance hovered at the precise coordinates where the barrier was weakest. "Shields at maximum," reported Commander Okonkwo, their defensive systems specialist. "Quantum harmonizers aligned." The moment arrived. A brief sensation like falling through ice water washed over them. And then, freedom. "We're through," Kaido confirmed, his voice barely above a whisper. Elena allowed herself only a moment of triumph before focusing on their mission. Sensors at full suite. Let's see what's out here. What they discovered defied all expectations. The region beyond the barrier, a sector the consortium called the Void, wasn't empty at all. The strange radiation that permeated the area seemed to enhance their ship's systems rather than damage them. More incredibly, it appeared to stimulate neural activity. Ideas came faster, connections formed more readily. It's as if this radiation accelerates thought processes. Dr. Sanvi Patel, their xenobiologist, observed after running brain scans on the crew. No wonder the consortium avoids this region. It might be harmful to their biology while beneficial to ours. On the third day of exploration, they detected an artificial structure, a derelict station of unknown origin. As they approached, a transmission reached them, not in any human language but somehow comprehensible to their enhanced minds. Approach slowly. We have been waiting. The being that greeted them aboard the ancient station called itself a Nexari. Its body resembled a mass of luminous cords woven into a vaguely humanoid shape. It spoke directly into their minds. You are not the first to be judged unworthy by the consortium, the Nexari explained. For millennia, they have banished species that do not fit their rigid definition of safe development. We were cast out 10,000 years ago for our psychic abilities, the Melfians before us for their rapid technological evolution, the Thrax for their biological adaptability. How many are you? Elena asked. 17 species currently inhabit the regions beyond consortium space. We call ourselves the Exiled. The radiation here, quantum neural particles, harms the consortium species but enhances most others. They created these void regions as waste zones, never imagining they could become our advantage. Elena's mind raced with implications. And you've been watching us. Since your containment began, we recognize the pattern. But you are the first to break through a barrier so quickly. The Nexari's form pulsed with what Elena sensed was approval. The consortium fears what it cannot control. In you, they see potential they cannot predict. By the time the Defiance returned to Earth, slipping back through the barrier during another fluctuation, Elena had negotiated humanity's first interstellar alliance. The Exiled would share their knowledge of the regions beyond consortium control, and humanity would contribute its unique innovative capacity. We need to keep this classified, Elena told the Solar Unification Council during her debriefing. The consortium monitors our communications. If they discover we've broken through the barrier, they'll strengthen it beyond our ability to penetrate. What do you propose? Asked Chairman Okafor, who had once been a president when nation-states still existed. A two-track civilization, Elena replied. On the surface, we continue as a contained species, apparently accepting our fate. Meanwhile, we secretly establish outposts beyond the barrier, using the quantum neural radiation to accelerate our development. And the Exiled. They've been surviving in the shadows for millennia. Now they're ready to build something greater, with our help. The consortium believes they've isolated us from the galaxy. Instead, they've introduced us to allies who can help us surpass them. As humanity covertly began establishing its first extrasolar settlements, a new power was taking shape in the shadows of the galaxy, one that would eventually force the consortium to reckon with the species they had so gravely underestimated. 20 years had passed since humanity's first venture beyond the quantum barrier. What began as a desperate act of defiance had evolved into something the Galactic Consortium could never have anticipated. General Elena Reyes, now in her 60s with silver threading through her dark hair, stood on the observation deck of Nexus Station. Below her spread the sprawling metropolis of Nova Terra, humanity's first and largest extrasolar colony. 2 million humans now called this world home, living alongside thousands of exiled from various species. The quantum shipyards have completed the latest batch of void-adapted vessels, reported Admiral Kaido Yamashita, now her second in command for the Shadow Coalition forces. The Nexari enhancements make them twice as efficient as last year's models. Elena nodded, watching workers of 5 different species collaborating on a massive ship taking shape in the orbital construction facility. Human engineers worked alongside crystalline Valasari, telepathic Nexari, biomechanical Drax, and gaseous Aerith. Each brought unique perspectives and abilities to the project. "And the quantum neural enhancers?" she asked. Dr. Patel's team has stabilized the 3rd-generation implants. They boost cognitive processing by 300% with no detectable side effects. This was the unexpected gift of Exile. The quantum neural radiation that permeated the regions beyond the barrier had catalyzed unprecedented advancement. What might have taken humanity centuries to develop had been achieved in decades. The radiation enhanced neural connections, accelerated learning, and stimulated innovation in ways no one could have predicted. "The council meeting begins in 20 minutes, Kaido reminded her. Elena took a final look at the bustling colony below. Nova Terra represented everything the consortium had feared: human adaptability and ingenuity unleashed. Yet contrary to the consortium's predictions, these traits had been channeled not into conquest but creation. The Shadow Coalition, as the alliance between humans and the Exiled had come to be known, operated on principles of mutual benefit and shared growth. Inside the council chamber, representatives from 27 species gathered around a massive circular table. Some appeared in holographic form from distant colonies, while others were physically present. The diversity was breathtaking. Beings of every conceivable biology and evolutionary path, united by their status as outcasts from consortium space. Elder Zovex of the Nexari called the meeting to order, her luminous form pulsing with cognitive energy. "The Coalition now controls 73 star systems across 3 void sectors," she announced. "Our population exceeds 15 billion sentients. We are no longer merely surviving. We are thriving." Arketh, the crystalline ambassador of the Valasari, spoke next. "The quantum shield network is operational across all major colonies. Should the consortium discover our existence, we can protect our core worlds." The meeting proceeded efficiently, each species reporting on technological developments, territorial expansions, and diplomatic initiatives. What had begun as a loose alliance of survivors had evolved into a sophisticated interstellar civilization, one built on different principles than the rigidly hierarchical consortium. When her turn came, Alina stood. "Humanity's latest breakthrough comes in quantum communications. We can now transmit data instantaneously across void sectors without detection by consortium monitoring systems. This solves our last major logistical challenge for coordinated growth." The announcement was met with approving gestures from around the table, tentacles waving, crystalline structures shimmering, energy forms pulsing. In 20 years, they had developed shared cultural norms despite their biological differences. After the formal council concluded, Alina joined a smaller strategic committee. Here, the coalition's most sensitive matters were discussed among 8 representatives from the founding species. "There has been an incident," announced Thorax, the biomechanical being who served as the coalition's intelligence director. "A consortium patrol detected one of our scout ships near the Vega transition point." The room grew tense. For 2 decades, they had maintained perfect secrecy, expanding into regions the consortium had abandoned or never fully explored. "Were they destroyed?" asked Morrigan, the Aerith representative whose gaseous form swirled with anxiety. "No. The scout executed emergency void shift protocols before they could be identified, but the consortium vessel recorded anomalous energy signatures. They will investigate." Alina considered the implications. It was inevitable that they would eventually detect signs of our presence. The question is, are we ready for what comes next? Elder Zovex's luminous tendrils pulsed thoughtfully. "Perhaps it is time to consider the transition to Phase 3 of our long-term strategy." Phase 3. Open contact with the consortium. The coalition had been preparing for this possibility since its formation. They had always known secrecy could not last forever. The original containment timeline for Earth specified 500 years. Alina reminded them. "We're only 20 years in. The consortium believes humanity is still safely imprisoned within the solar system, which gives us the element of surprise, noted Cato. Our intelligence suggests the consortium has not significantly advanced their technology in centuries. They believe themselves unchallenged, with no reason to innovate. Elena nodded. Complacency is their weakness. They've grown accustomed to being the unchallenged power in this region of space. Then perhaps, said Morrigan, her gaseous form condensing slightly in what Elena had learned to recognize as determination, it is time to accelerate our plans. Back in the solar system, the facade of containment continued. The solar unification government maintained the appearance of a civilization developing in isolation, carefully monitored by consortium observation posts at the edge of the barrier. Regular reports were transmitted to Earth detailing the prison's integrity. What the consortium didn't know was that for every person visible on Earth, another lived beyond the barrier. The human population had effectively doubled, with half now residing in extrasolar colonies. The selective migration had been managed through quantum fluctuation transports, specialized vessels designed to slip through the barrier during its momentary weaknesses. Dr. Leila Chakrabarty, director of Earth's Quantum Physics Institute and one of the few who knew the truth, was reviewing the latest consortium scan when her assistant burst into her office. Director, there's been a transmission from General Reyes. Priority Alpha. Leila dismissed her staff and secured her office before accessing the quantum-encrypted message. Elena's face appeared on her screen, the instantaneous communication bridging the vast distance between Novaterra and Earth. The consortium has detected anomalous activity, Elena reported without preamble. We believe our window of secrecy is closing. Implement contingency Helios immediately. Leila felt her heart rate increase. Contingency Helios, the final phase of solar system preparation before potential consortium intervention. Understood, she replied. How long do we have? Unknown. Days, perhaps weeks. The Coalition Council has voted to initiate Phase 3 if contact becomes inevitable. After the transmission ended, Leila activated the emergency protocol. Across the solar system, hidden facilities began final preparations. On Mars, massive shield generators powered up beneath the surface of Olympus Mons. In the asteroid belt, concealed weapon platforms awakened from dormancy. On Earth's moon, the quantum communication hub expanded its capacity for the coming storm. The solar system might appear to be a prison, but it had secretly become a fortress. On the consortium capital world of Meridian Prime, High Counselor Vex Troll reviewed the report from the patrol vessel with growing concern. You're certain of these readings? He asked the ship's commander. Absolutely, Counselor. The energy signature does not match any known natural phenomenon. It bears similarities to our own void shift technology, but with modifications we've never seen. Vex Troll dismissed the commander and summoned his most trusted advisors. The four-armed being had held his position for over a century, overseeing the containment of 3 potentially dangerous species, including the humans. The void regions were supposed to be uninhabitable, said Science Director Clothera, her crystalline form vibrating with agitation. No species could survive the quantum neural radiation. Evidently, we were mistaken, replied Security Administrator Jomex, the serpentine official responsible for maintaining the quarantine barriers. The question is, which of our contained species has escaped? The energy signature was detected near the human containment zone, Vex Troll noted. And humans have always been resourceful. The implications were disturbing. The consortium's policy of containment depended on absolute control, the ability to isolate potential threats from the galactic community. If one species had broken containment, others might follow. I am dispatching an investigative fleet to Earth, Vex Troll decided. We must verify the containment barrier's integrity. And if it has been compromised? Asked Jomex. Then we implement the sanitation protocol. The words hung heavily in the chamber. Sanitation protocol. The complete elimination of a species deemed too dangerous for containment. It had been implemented only once in the consortium's 50,000-year history. 3 days later, a consortium fleet of 30 vessels approached the Sol system, prepared to verify humanity's imprisonment or enforce a more permanent solution. On Novaterra, Alina stood before the combined forces of the Shadow Coalition. Representatives from all 27 member species had gathered for this moment of truth. "The consortium fleet will reach Earth tomorrow," she announced. "They suspect containment has been breached, but don't yet understand the full scope of what we've built here. We face a critical choice: continue hiding and risk discovery, or reveal ourselves on our own terms." Elder Zovex floated forward. "The Coalition Council has voted. After 20 years of preparation, we are ready to emerge from the shadows." Elena nodded. "Then Operation Daybreak begins now." Throughout Coalition space, fleets mobilized. Not just human ships, but vessels crewed by all member species. The Coalition's combined force numbered over 5,000 ships, each incorporating technologies developed through the unique cross-species collaboration that had defined their society. Elena boarded her flagship, the Defiance II, named in honor of the vessel that had first breached the barrier. As commander of the Coalition's unified forces, she would lead the confrontation personally. "All Coalition fleets report ready," Kaido informed her as they entered the bridge. Now in his 60s as well, he had never lost his razor-sharp focus. Quantum communication links established with all solar system defenses, added Communications Officer Liang. Elena took her place in the command chair. "Begin void shift." All vessels transition to solar system coordinates. Across Coalition space, thousands of ships engage their quantum drive systems simultaneously. Unlike conventional FTL travel, void shift technology utilized the unique properties of quantum neural radiation to fold space itself. The entire fleet vanished from Coalition space and reappeared in perfect formation surrounding the solar system, directly behind the approaching consortium vessels. Aboard the consortium flagship, alarms blared as sensors detected the massive fleet materializing behind them. "Impossible," exclaimed the tactical officer. 5,300 vessels. They appeared from nowhere. High Counselor Vex Troll, who had chosen to lead this mission personally, felt something he had not experienced in centuries: fear. "Full defensive posture," he ordered. "All vessels prepare for—" "We're being hailed," interrupted his communications officer. It's coming from the human vessel at the center of their formation." "Show me," Vex Troll commanded. The holographic display activated, revealing an elderly human female in a military uniform adorned with Coalition insignia. "High Counselor Vex Troll," she said, "I am General Elena Reyes of the Shadow Coalition. You once judged humanity too dangerous for the stars. Today, you will reassess that judgment." Vex Troll's 4 arms moved in gestures of surprise and diplomatic formality. "General Reyes, your presence here violates consortium law. The containment of your species was deemed necessary for galactic stability. Yet here we stand," Elena replied calmly. "Not just humans, but 27 species you have discarded over the millennia. Together, we have built something you never imagined possible in the regions you abandoned." At her signal, additional holographic feeds appeared, showing representatives of other Coalition species: the luminous Nexari, crystalline Valasari, gaseous Aerith, biomechanical Thrax, and others. Each introduced themselves and their civilization, many of which the consortium had believed extinct or permanently contained. "The void regions you considered uninhabitable have become our home," Elena continued. "The quantum neural radiation you feared has become our strength. We did not escape containment to wage war, but to prove your judgment wrong." Vex Troll considered the overwhelming force arrayed against his fleet. The consortium had grown complacent in its dominance, never expecting a unified challenge from the very species they had quarantined. "What do you propose?" he asked finally. "Recognition," Elena stated simply. "The Shadow Coalition controls 73 star systems across 3 void sectors. We request formal acknowledgement as a sovereign power and the immediate lifting of all containment barriers around Coalition member homeworlds. And if we refuse, Elena's expression remained measured. Then we demonstrate exactly why you feared us. Not through violence, unless you force that choice, but through continued growth and innovation beyond your control. The barriers will fall regardless. The only question is whether the consortium participates in what comes next. As the two fleets faced off at the edge of humanity's home system, the balance of power in the galaxy shifted irrevocably. The consortium, which had ruled unchallenged for 50,000 years, now confronted the consequences of its fear-based policies. 1 year later, Elena stood on the observation deck of the newly constructed Coalition embassy on Meridian Prime. The diplomatic compound represented the first official Coalition presence in consortium space, a symbol of the new galactic order that had emerged from their confrontation. "The last containment barrier falls today," Kaido said, joining her at the viewport. "The Thrax homeworld will be free after 12,000 years of isolation." Elena nodded, watching the diverse beings moving through the embassy gardens below, Coalition and consortium species interacting cautiously but openly. "Was it worth it?" Kaido asked quietly. "All those years of secrecy, building in the shadows?" Elena considered the question. When the consortium had imprisoned humanity, they believed they were protecting the galaxy from a dangerous species. Instead, they had created the conditions for an entirely new civilization to emerge, one built on cooperation between outcasts rather than control from above. "They feared what we might become," she replied. "And in their fear, they created exactly what they sought to prevent, a power that could challenge their dominance. But they were wrong about what that would mean. The Shadow Coalition had not conquered the consortium, but had forced it to evolve. The rigid hierarchy that had governed galactic civilization for millennia was giving way to something more dynamic and inclusive. They feared what we might become," she replied. "And in their fear, they created exactly what they sought to prevent, a power that could challenge their dominance. But they were wrong about what that would mean. The Shadow Coalition had not conquered the consortium, but had forced it to evolve. The rigid hierarchy that had governed galactic civilization for millennia was giving way to something more dynamic and inclusive. The consortium believed diversity was something to be controlled." Elena continued. "We proved it was something to be celebrated." As the two old friends watched the activity below, a consortium transport arrived, bringing dignitaries for the upcoming Galactic Summit, the first where Coalition representatives would have equal standing with consortium officials. "What do you think they fear most now?" Kaido wondered. Elena smiled slightly. "That others will follow our example. That the species they've kept separated will see what's possible when differences become strengths rather than threats." The Galactic Consortium had confined humanity to prevent a potential disruption to their ordered galaxy. What they had created instead was a catalyst for transformation, proof that their fundamental assumptions about civilization were flawed. "They thought they were containing a threat," Elena said. "Instead, they incubated a revolution." As night fell on Meridian Prime, lights came on across the Coalition embassy, a small island of the new order within the heart of the old. What had begun with humanity's imprisonment had led to the emergence of something greater than either humans or the consortium could have imagined. A civilization built not on fear of differences, but on the strength they could provide when united. The consortium had banished Earth, but in doing so, they had inadvertently helped humanity create a greater empire, one that would reshape the galaxy not through conquest, but through cooperation.